Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be doing tool calling with our local AI models. We're going to be testing GPT-OSS, Kimi K2, DeepSeek, GLM, MiniMax, apparatus. It's alive. So if you ever go to like Microsoft's Copilot, you can go to these, it has a search functionality here. And with that search functionality, you can then go ahead and access the latest news from the internet. And you can also choose which kind of model. Now, I don't think on this, this one, unfortunately, you got to pick between searching and actually one of the deeper models. So you can't have think deeper with searching. Maybe other websites allow that sort of functionality, but with our local AI solution, we can do that. And in case you don't know, tool calling allows AI models to access pretty much anything. You can access the internet with them. You can search, you can get weather, you can delete files off your system. You can do some dangerous things. You just give it the keys to your car and it chooses how to drive. Now I'm using INFERENCER version 1.7, should be released very soon. Good thing about this application is it's a sandbox application. So if you do give it a function that allows it to delete files, the only files it will delete is files on your in your sandboxed environment. So it's the applications documents folder. In case you don't know, I'm going to jump in and show you. If you go into your home folder and then press Command-Shift-Dot, you can access your library, and inside there you access containers. And then inside there, you can search for INFERENCER, or inside there is a documents folder. So the world it lives in, the documents folder it is aware of, is this folder here. So these are the files you can delete. So you can potentially delete your database, so all of your chats. You can then delete the web cache or anything that you've got in there. So it doesn't access your actual documents folder. It just has a representation of its own documents folder that it lives in. That's what sandboxing is. macOS supports this, and it also allows you to access any local folders that you've enabled it to access. So for example, inside INFERENCER here, if you go into models and then local folders, any folder that you've enabled here, it potentially has access to. Now, of course, if you don't give it the function to delete files, it won't delete them. I'm gonna go through some basic functions. We're gonna be adding our own custom functions, showing you how to do that, and we're gonna be testing all of these models out. So first up, I'm doing this via my MacBook Pro, but my MacBook Pro is connecting to my Mac Studio as a server. I'm doing this because I'm doing an OBS recording, so I want it to be running smooth and fast. So we got this new tools section over here, and we got 3 functions out of the box. So get weather location. It is running this Python code whenever the AI model asks for it. So you give it some sort of specification. You say, hey, we expect a location. For example, it's going to be the city of San Francisco. We require this location, and it should be a string, which means it should be text, and it's going to run this function. Now, let me just explain this function since you guys are probably interested, hopefully. And the first thing it does is, this is the URL it's going to call. It's just a web service, wttr.in. It's a free one, so you don't need an API key, so that's good. And we're going to be getting the sandbox documents path. So that folder that I showed you there, it has access to that. If you try accessing a folder or a file outside of that directory, it's going to fail. So this is why you use a special documents path. It's going to generate a cache file for that URL, and it's going to check over here. It's going to check if that file exists and if it's recent. So if it's less than 2 hours old, it's just going to use that cache file. So you're not going to be constantly making new requests to the internet every single nanosecond, which is like these AI models like to do. You're going to be doing that. It's just going to be using the cache, doing it every two hours. And if there isn't a cache, it's going to go ahead and make that call and save it. And then it's going to pass the results. Now, this API is awesome because it's very, very simple. Let me just show you the result it gives you. It just gives you this response is what that website gives you. So it's just going to pass that and give it back to the model for it to go ahead and inference. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to first disable tool calls, and I'm going to say weather in New York. Let's do a new fresh one. So it says, I don't have real-time data. So this one didn't hallucinate an answer. It actually says you should go ahead and access these websites, and typically these are the results. And that is very, very good. Now we're going to enable tool calls. So tool calls, allow tool calls. We're going to do weather in New York. It made that request live right there, and it's found out that the temperature is 8 degrees and it's partly cloudy. So that is a result there. And if you look at our cache over here, we can see we got a response partly cloudy. So let's just follow this along, the thinking. So it go ahead and said we need to call the get weather location, and it called it with the location as New York. And this is the response. So it went ahead and analyzed that and presented it in a nice fancy way. Now these models, they do tool calling in so many different ways. They're all just so there's no standards. There's a semi-standard, but they all deviate across it. So making it work with all these models was a challenge. Let's just see how it goes. So first, weather in New York, but we want to be a bit more testy. We want to see if it can, what about the rest of the week? It's going to go ahead and use a DuckDuckGo search. It's doing all this kind of like stuff in the background. It's actually got some results here, and it's presented the results, and it's found it the rest of the week. So let's just see how it did that. First, it said, let's use DuckDuckGo search, which is another tool call that we got available. And New York weather forecast, unfortunately, DuckDuckGo actually said there's too many requests and a capture challenge is required. So it understood that. It said we hit a rate limit. Maybe we can just get the web page directly. It tried accessing weather.com with a random website. It doesn't know the URL. It tried weather.com, weather 10-day, New York City, and it was a 404 error. That's not a real website. It hallucinated that link. So it said, let's try a different site. It tried AccuWeather just based on its guesswork, and AccuWeather actually returned a response. So it guessed that correctly. And then from AccuWeather's response, it says we have content, but it's messy. We need to parse it. So it passed it, it got the result, and boom, it is done. So it managed to figure out. So this is a smart model, even with the challenge of not being able to get search results. It was kind of guessing some URLs, and it actually got the data. So now let's do a more advanced test. Let's just say we want to get the latest news about the Mac Studio and clustering. So here it's just started because we got too many requests coming in from DuckDuckGo. Should have filmed this slightly earlier when it was working, but give it a couple of hours and it will fix itself up. So it's going ahead and trying out all of these websites. It's guessing the links. So it's trying to access TechCrunch, Mac Studio Cluster. It just made up that link, 2024. And we can see if we access it is a 404. So it just made up these links. It's going ahead. It's finding some stuff. So it's really struggling without this search functionality. So I'm going to upgrade this now to 120B. It's slightly bigger model, maybe slightly smarter. Let's see if it does that request this time. And look at that. It's actually managed to get a previously cached response from DuckDuckGo using Mac Studio Clustering News Week. And it's actually printed out. So it says on 95 Mac, it showed a cluster of Mac Studios. It's just the reason we no longer need a Mac Pro. So it explains what Apple's Thunderbolt 5 technology introduced in 26.2 Mac OS allows for super fast connections. Engadget, it's also got the story. Apple Insider's got the story. So this is kind of cheating because this one's got the response from DuckDuckGo. So it allowed it to do a bit more. So what I'm going to do now is, just to see how clever these models are, I'm going to disable DuckDuckGo search. So untick that as enabled. I'm going to run that test, and I will see how smart these models are when they don't have access to tools, and then as you give them access to tools. So let's try GPT-OSS 120B one more time, see if you can figure it out. So this one went on Google News, and we do have some responses. It says Mac OS 26.2, M5 Max fast speeds. So 15 hours ago, it's actually got some responses. So as you can see, it's got 3 articles: Tweaktown, Apple Insider, Engadget. It says there's unified memory scaling, UMDA. Don't know how much this stuff is making up, but it's still pretty good. It's found 3 headlines pulled from Google News search. So it even told you a reference. Very, very clever. GPT-OSS 20B, it's really struggling to figure out how to get that information. So it's trying to make all of these random web requests. Let's see if it actually hits. Yeah, so we can see that GPT-OSS 20B struggling without that search functionality, whereas the big guy, 120B, it figured it out. It just went to Google News and got a response. All right, let's see how the other models perform. This seems to be like a nice challenging test. It's given it tool calling ability. We've given it access to the internet, but we haven't given it a search provider. So let's just see who else can do this challenge. So we're gonna do Qwen 3 235B. This is a super large model as well. So the first thing it's doing over here is a tool call. It went to Apple Newsroom, got some results, went to Mac Rumors 2025 and got some results here. Now there is a max length flag parameter in this function call. So far it's using the default 1000 characters, so maybe it's not getting any good responses. Let's just see how it flows. So we can see that the content length potentially is 35,000, but it's only getting 1,000 and it's jumping onto different websites. So based on the information retrieved, there's no recent news. So it failed on that one, unfortunately. I'm going to give you one more shot. I'm going to allow DuckDuckGo and just see how much better it will be when it does that. So now it's using DuckDuckGo. It's got the latest news this week about Mac Studio clustering. Boom, it's got these 5 results. Here's the latest highlights this week. It didn't even do any further investigation. It just went up, did the search result and presented the search results here. So I've seen other models. What they do is they go to DuckDuckGo first and then they go in and check out some of the articles and then they present the information. This one here is just a brief summary. Mac Studio clusters, challenge needed for Mac Pro. 4 Mac Studios form an efficient cluster. I'm not going to actually ask it for any more information because I'm happy that it gave me a nice little summary and this video will probably go on forever. Now let's go for the smaller one. This is Quint 3 1.7b. This is the kind of model that can run really fast on your phone. So let's just see how that one handles that situation. So it said I should use DuckDuckGo. Did DuckDuckGo is thinking. So the latest news about the Mac Studio 2023 highlights. It's got the results. It's got the results, but it's presented something a bit off. So yeah, not that smart. Now let's go with a bigger one. This is MiniMax M2, one of the best models out there at the moment. We're going to load it up. We're going to give it tool calling. We're going to give it web pages, and we're going to do 2 tests. One with DuckDuckGo enabled and disabled. See if you can figure it out, like GPT-OSS 120b. That's probably #1 at the moment. Thinking about things, it made a tool call. Except this one was kind of clever. Normally the other models, they did number of results, they made it 5. This one specifically changed that parameter to 10. Now, one thing about MiniMax, I like it, but I don't like how they use their tool call setup. They use something called XML, which means you can't really differentiate between text and a number. So if you do have a function that requires a specific string or requires an integer, as it is here, when you use some models that use the XML framework, it's going to be challenging to know if you're actually getting an integer or a string. So when you are writing your functions, just maybe treat everything like a string, and then you can always cast it depending on how you feel. I tried my best to cast it the best way I can so I can feed it into the tool call, but this is a limitation with MiniMax. But nonetheless, it's got 10 results. It says, let's go to this website. While we don't need a Mac Pro, it's changed the Mac length from the default 1000 to 2000. That's very, very clever. Except, look at this. It says, this article seems to be cut off. Let's try another source. So Rob, it knows how to change the max length. It knows how it changed that because it changed it from 1000 to 2000. But instead of changing it to like 4,000 or 10,000, it chose to just go to a completely different website. So it went to Engadget. Again, 2000 here. This is much better. And it did some more. So it's gone through all of the search, well, 1, 2, 3 search results, and it's presented some nice information. This is good. Can run the 1 trillion parameter Kimi K2 thinking model. So I'm actually asking it, why didn't you just increase the max length when you found an article to be truncated? And it's going to say, it seems incomplete based on how it ended. Then I tried Engadget. You're absolutely right. I should have increased the max length parameter. And it actually did that right now. It made it 8,000. So it knows. And it's getting some more information. Processing, obviously, when you increase the max length, 8,000 characters, it's a lot more prompt processing. It's going to be doing a lot more back and forth. In case you don't know, the way tool calling works is the model requests a tool. You then take that request, convert it into a callable function. You call that function, you end everything, you start a new turn, it processes that prompt, and then it continues on with the information. So it's got the complete latest news. It's talking about memory pooling. It's talking about all of this future roadmap, upcoming M5 Pro Mac systems, early 2026. Is that real? So yes, the information does come from Apple Insider article. Again, very, very smart, good use of tool calls, and it was very, very clever when you did enable search results. We're going to go ahead and switch it up. We're going to go to Kimi K2 Thinking. According to Kimi K2 Thinking, it says it does 44.9 on humanity's last exam with tools. And that's better than GPT-5. It's better than Grok. It's better than everything. It is super smart. Maybe it's just got beat by Gemini 3.0, but let's just see how it does. So it's thinking about it. The first thing it's doing is doing a search. 2 million requests, capture challenge required. Oh, how's it going to handle that? Alternative sites. Whoa, what? It just gave up. It gave up. It says you got to check the sources directly. So because it wasn't able to get the search results, it gave up here. I'm going to do one more test with this guy. DuckDuckGo search. I'll just disable that to see if it's a bit more cleverer. If it doesn't have that search capability, will it try to do what GPT did? And that one just went on Google News. Can it do that? I said search for recent news. Since I don't have direct tool for searching news, I'm not going to respond. Oh, no, it went to Apple Newsroom. So it doesn't have any information about it. It went to TechCrunch. It went to Google, tried doing a Google search. You can't directly search Google. I went on another tech website. So unfortunately, it wasn't able to figure it out. It tried, it went through a few websites, but it wasn't able to figure it out. Okay, let's switch it up. Let's jump into GLM 4.6. Now, this is also another amazing model. I like this test actually. It's really good because we're kind of challenging the model to see if it can figure things out. And it's kind of like a real world test case where the websites are actively trying to block you from accessing them. Obviously, you can get around that. I've chosen to not, but you can write your own tools to do that if you want to. You can even have a plugin into a web browser and just have it communicate to it. You can get it to control the AC, all this kind of cool stuff. If there's any specific functions you'd want, just let me know and I can always implement it in. So it's a default function out of the box, or maybe an extension that you can install yourself. So right now, if you go into tools over here, you just click new tool and you can even test the tool. So for example, this one, it's just going to respond as hello world. So return hello world. You can get it to do whatever you want. You can do your own API requests, talk to your AC, change your own stuff, talk to your Powell, all this kind of cool stuff you can do with tool calls. So we're back with GLM. The user asked me the latest news. I'm going to use DuckDuckGo. So this one, it's got a cached response already on DuckDuckGo when it was working slightly earlier. It's got some results. Let me analyze where it found out. Dated November 19. So I noticed some of these dates seem to be in the future, November 2025. So this is based on an older date when the model was made. Some chat templates, they actually get the latest date from you, the inferencer. It just asks you for it. So you provide it and you can customize the date using the custom date functionality. However, maybe what's probably best is making get current date as a tool call. So the model can ask, what is the current date? So then it can update its response based on that, or you can always feed it in as your prompt. Based on my searches, I'm not finding specific news about Mac Studio based on the current week of June 2024. So to help it out, I'm going to actually ask it. I'm actually going to tell it it's actually November 2025. What is the news? So look at this. It's understood now that the results were correct. It tried making a call to 95 Mac and it actually specified the max length to 1500. So it knew how to use that parameter. The default value is 1000. It got a truncated response. It said the content was cut off. Let me get some more specific information by going to a different website. So instead of just saying, let's get more of the content, it's actually switched websites. So that's again, another bad strategy. Over here, it's switched back to DuckDuckGo, too many requests. I'm having trouble getting the full content from these articles. So even though it is modifying the max length, so now it's made it 2000, it's having trouble with generating the articles. So maybe a different strategy would be, instead of having get web page content, have get short, get summary, web case snippet, get web page snippet, and then get web page content would return the full results, or at least a more generous amount of characters. Maybe 1000 is a bit too low. Maybe make it 10,000 so you can actually get some interesting data, because it seems to always struggle. But nonetheless, even though it did all that research and got all the different articles, it is actually giving me genuine information. So connect Mac Studios together, AI supercomputer, power efficient. So now we're going to switch it up and we're going to go to DeepSeek, the big guy. DeepSeek, the ultimate, or the guy that introduced the game. Now, I do have a bit of a myth with DeepSeek, and that is their tool calling infrastructure. It's very, very funny. You got to actually tell it, important, always adhere to this exact same format. And you give it the format here. So it's, it's just like, It's not like integrated where, hey, here are the tools, you can go for it. You need to actually just talk to it, write it down, and it's going to follow. Hopefully it's going to follow this prompt. It's just like fingers crossed kind of thing. They've trained it to hopefully follow. So DeepSeek has got actually some responses. So this is the tool call, the tool separator, the number results. Max tutorial clustering this week. Yes, actually got the cached responses from DuckDuckGo. It's going ahead to the website's 9to5Mac. And it's got the basic information. Let's see if it's figured it out. It does. Thunderbolt 5 clustering support, AI supercomputer capabilities, power efficiency. It's figured it out. That's very, very good. But of course, it did have that DuckDuckGo search. So I'm going to disable that. Search disabled so we can actually see what happens if it isn't able to search for results. Remember, GPT-OSS 120B was able to go on Google News and get the results that way. So this one, oh, look at that. It didn't have search calling, so it went to Mac rumors. And let's search more specifically Mac Studio clustering news. Not found. It made up that website. 9to5Mac. So these are the top 2 websites. 9to5Mac. Rumors, The Verge, Forbidden. It's just making up these URLs. Is actually now starting to increase the maximum number of characters. So it's not doing the default 1000. It's doing 1500. So I can tell you Mac Studio clustering refers to this. I wasn't able to find any information. So we went through a lot of models here. Let's do Apparatus, the Swiss one. Now, unfortunately, this one, I've got tool calling enabled, but it's not that clever. As an AI, I don't have the ability to browse the internet or get information. But if you say weather in London, for example, it does make a tool call and it does find out that the weather is 2 degrees. So these models, they can do tool calling, but they're not as sophisticated as the newer model. Oh, this Apparatus is new. But anyway, it's not sophisticated as the GLM, the MiniMax. And MiniMax was a very, very good response. GPT-OSS was very, very good responses. You got a nice little demonstration of how these models interact with tool calling. We'll try them all out. Let me know what model you guys are thinking of using, what kind of tools you guys want to be available. So we've got DuckDuckGo. I guess we need to get a fallback for that one. But the good thing about this, the code is available, so you can just copy it, specify a new tool, paste it in yourself, and then modify it. So rather than using DuckDuckGo, you can even do this. Look, this is the coolest thing you can do. So I'm going to disable tool calls so I don't make these models go crazy. And I'm going to go into Qwen 3Coder 30B. That one runs on a lot of hardware. Paste it in there. Say, can you change this to use another search? So it's updated. It's actually using SERP AI. So that one, you get an API key. Now SERP AI, they do give you an API key and you make like a limited number of free requests and then you can start paying them for more. It's modified the function for you. So you can copy this function in, paste that in, and it'll be using that situation. And all you have to do is type in your API key here and then it should just work. Maybe I need to sign up for that. Now we've made a tool. You click on enabled. It says function name not found. So you need to change a SERP API search to the same function name. So it knows that function is related to this function. These we'll probably need to copy the same copy as this. And now we've got a new tool. We just made ourselves. Let's just see if it works. If it works, that'll be cool, right? So we've got this thing. Now all you need to do is give it your API key. I'm going to click test and just say search for hello. And it says API key, it's missing. So because it wasn't able to get the environment API key, it's missing. So you can always just type in fake. It's not going to work, but we're just testing if the function works. It's making a request to the server. Look at that. So let's just allow it. Try it one more time. Unauthorized URL. So yeah, you do an API key, you can add in your own search. You're all set to go. Let me know what you guys think. Which model performed the best? Which was good? Are you surprised of how good it's worked? Like, what I love about this is you can just give it some random pockets of information now. What is INFERENCER.com? So it's gone to the website, getting a summary, boom, you're summarizing that website. It's kind of like now we're getting the capability of doing that deep researchy kind of information that you get on the big models online, except you're now doing it just locally, all on your own computer. The only thing that's accessing the internet is the web calls and requests, so they don't actually know what's being inferenced on your side of the client. And there's so much expandability to be done. Let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys found this video useful and enjoyed the show. It's alive. It's alive.